Bucks guard Sterling Brown is lucky he wasn't killed by Milwaukee police. And the sad thing is that most black people watching the footage of his arrest felt lucky too. In recently released body cam footage, Sterling Brown of the Milwaukee Bucks is seen being arrested and tasered over parking in a handicapped spot. Just one more example of the fraught relationship between black Milwaukeeans and the police. If there is anything no longer in doubt, is that the Milwaukee officials were right to worry about community reaction to video footage of Milwaukee Bucks guard Sterling Brown being arrested back in January. I definitely have concerns after watching that video, Milwaukee Mayor Tom Barrett said on Monday. In footage released by the Milwaukee Police Department on Wednesday, body cam footage shows Brown, who was selected 46 overall in the 2017 NBA draft by the Philadelphia 76ers before being dealt to the Bucks, exiting a Walgreens on the city's south side in the early hours of January 26. Before entering the convenience store, Brown illegally parked his car across two handicapped parking spots, and a police officer was waiting by the car when Brown returned to his vehicle. In the video, the tension between Brown, who is black, and the officer, who is white, feels immediate. The officer, while asking for Brown's driver's license, also instructs the Bucks player to take a step back, an order he makes clearer by pushing the 6'6" guard backward. Brown asks the officer not to push him, and the situation escalates as the officer asks, "You don't see the issue here?" And it is right then that anyone watching the video knows this isn't going to be a quick parking ticket. Within minutes of the officer first encountering Brown, 3 additional police vehicles arrive at the Walgreens parking lot, bringing at least 6 more officers as backup. While speaking with a few of the officers, Brown's hand go into his sweatshirt. He had his hands in and out of his pockets minutes earlier when the car alarm went off repeatedly, and an officer yells, "Take your hands out of your pocket now." And before Brown can react, he is swarmed and tackled by 5 of the officers. As Brown lay on the ground, one officer yells, "Taser, taser, taser." And the next thing you hear is Brown groaning in pain as jolts of electricity flow through his body. It's a difficult scene to take in, the police rushing Brown and jumping on his body as he tries to tell them that he's not a threat. It's like a pride of lions circling an antelope ready to devour its prey. It's not grainy cell phone and body cam videos we've grown accustomed to. The videos of Eric Garner gasping for air because he can't breathe, the 4-year-old Deanna Reynolds consoling her mother as Philando Castile lay dead in the front seat, or Laquan McDonald's body convulsing on the ground after he was riddled with bullets. We can read the rest in the link. I'm sure you've already heard it. And after seeing the footage, the first thing I thought when the officer called for backup is that Sterling Brown was going to die that day. I remember hearing Brown saying that, what's all this for? And the officer saying, well, we're just going to figure this out. And Sterling Brown said, you can't figure this out by yourself. In other words, write me a ticket so I can be on my way. Well, thank God Brown was calm and knew what this was, because the one thing I like about Facebook and seeing all these people, black men being killed, is that it's a warning to the rest of us that as a black man, any encounter with the police can be your last. And it doesn't matter what you look like, your station, how much money you have in your pocket, whether you're a thug or a college graduate or an NBA athlete. Now, Milwaukee is not that big of a city. In fact, Los Angeles has more people in its city than Milwaukee has in its state. And when you have an NBA basketball player that's easily recognizable, you only have 12 dudes on the NBA basketball team. In a small town like Milwaukee that barely has one team, he's one of those guys that you should recognize, especially at 6'6". and driving an expensive car that should tell you that he's an athlete, which the guy probably knew, but he didn't care. But what it tells you is that it doesn't matter what your station is. Bill Cosby should tell you that it doesn't matter what your station is. To be a black man in America is to be held in contempt by the whole country, even by your women. Now, 99.9% of the time, for a parking lot ticket, you wouldn't get confronted by 7 police officers. You walk outside and the ticket would be on your windshield, which should have happened. Now, obviously, the officer was across the street and saw Sterling Brown walk into the Walgreens and had the camera out. Now, he already had the camera out waiting for him. The body cam on. You only have body cams on when there's going to be a confrontation. You don't turn on a body cam to write a parking lot ticket. You don't call for backup for a parking lot ticket. Now, the officer never let him go into his car for his ID, which he wasn't required to show his ID for a parking lot ticket. The ticket is on the car, not on the man. But it reminds me of what I've known since I was 8 years old with my first encounter with cops, which is why it's very difficult to get law enforcement into a black area. Everybody knows from Jim Crow, not even Jim Crow, from Reconstruction on, the cops are dangerous. And when you encounter white people with guns, you are at their whim, because everything that's going on in their life, everything wrong could be dumped on you, especially a black man. Just like in Starbucks, when those 2 black men were sitting there, and when the 6 cops come in and start moving tables, they know it's not going to be a good day. Now, Sterling Brown, it did nothing. He calmly talked to the police officers for about 10-15 minutes. And they still threw him to the ground and they tasered him. And it reminds me of a couple of incidences where Oscar, basically in Fruitville Station, that encountered Metro cops. And as they're handcuffing him, even though he's not struggling, as they're handcuffing him, instead of pulling out a taser, he pulls out his weapon and fires 2 rounds in him. This happened more than a few times where, oops, I thought it was my taser and it was my weapon. That could have easily happened to Sterling Brown. And in this article, I like how he described it. It was like a pride of lions pouncing on their prey. Now, why 7 Milwaukee cops thought it was okay to escalate a parking lot ticket. Do you hear me? A parking lot ticket. Not a traffic stop. Not a confrontation. A parking lot ticket. Escalate to the point where it could have been a life and death situation, and they could have easily been on trial for murder. And the only reason they backed off is because they recognized him. Because even he said, "Oh, I look familiar, don't I?" It's something that NBA athletes and any black athlete knows, that his car, that his license plate, dude knew who he was when he ran the license plate. He knew there was Sterling Brown of the Milwaukee Bucks. He knew there was Sterling Brown of the Milwaukee Bucks. Which is sad, because when you're a black man with money and are at a higher economic station, that makes you a target by police. I'm in LA. Everybody knows that. If you get a cop that thinks he's an alpha male, and you have more money, more fame, and more women than he does, he's not going to take it very well. And he's going to look to assert his dominance over you. And that's all that happened with Sterling Brown. Young 6'6" guy, athletic, driving a much better car, probably a more expensive car than this guy cop could afford. Probably the guy's car probably cost more than that cop's house. And him and his boys wanted to assert dominance over this black dude that was a uppity nigga. And I hear so-called conservative black guys that constantly talk shit about stuff like this. Say that you didn't handle the police correctly. In other words, what you didn't do was make the cop feel comfortable. You didn't kiss the cop's ass like you should have. You didn't shuck and jive and tell jokes to make the cop laugh so that Massa could feel comfortable being around you and look at you as a good nigga, which is all that it means. When a cop stops you and confronts you, and you know he goes for that radio, a white cop, let's put it that way, you have to prove to those 6 cops that you're a good nigga, and you know means no harm, so they can laugh and joke and say, "Whoa, this guy, this Sterling Brown is a good nigga, and he's an all right guy, so we can let him go." Just like Bob Marley's granddaughter, who had the cops on her in Rialto, and 4 cop cars swarmed on them for checking out of an Airbnb. And even though she's a black woman, she knew that she needed to go into her buck dancing mode, because if she did not, she would not live to tell the tale. Well, you can see by the video cam that the officers are laughing and joking and they're treating them with respect. No, what happened was they were joking with them to put the cops at ease so they wouldn't draw their weapons, so that it would not escalate. Because we know that these cops are on a hair trigger, and we don't know what happened in their life. Their wife could not have given them sex that morning. They could be getting a divorce. They could be being hit for child support, and it just happens to be your day. You have won the nigga lottery, and it's your day to be put in the ground. And every black man in America is Sterling K. Brown. It's Sterling Brown. Everyone. I don't care who you are. When they stripped Michael Jackson naked and took naked pictures of him to humiliate him. I don't care how famous you are. I don't care what you accomplished. In America, you are a Palestinian. We don't live in ghettos. We don't live in neighborhoods. We live in refugee camps. A ghetto is not a neighborhood. It's a refugee camp that's being policed by the army. And I don't care how conservative you are, how many rights you think you have, how individualistic you think you are, how much bullshit about being an American that you quote. At the end of the day, and in the back of your mind, every black man knows this is to be true, that you live in a refugee camp. You live on a reservation. And every cop on the street has a right to take your life. And you know it. Every black man that sometime in his life is going to get his wake-up card. Is going to get his wake-up call. And I don't care who you are, from Bill Cosby all the way down. You're one phone call away. You're one misstep away. You can't even fall asleep on a freaking park bench without being accosted by a cop and your life threatened. I am proud of Sterling Brown for keeping his wits about him. As a former athlete, I know that somebody putting their hands on you brings out a natural aggression. But I commend him for keeping his wits about him when all those cops surrounded him, and not getting upset, and remembering that as a citizen, he has rights, but as a black man, he does not. And he wanted to live to tell the tale. And that actually saved his life, because they were going to kill that man. They were looking to escalate to kill that man. And everybody knew it. The lions were looking for prey. And they were going to eat him that day. And fortunately, he is one of the few that has maybe a few scars, but he has lived to tell the tale. People always ask me, why do you want to leave America? Why do you want to leave America? It's like asking a Palestinian, why does he want to leave Israel? Anyway, let me jump off of here. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.